North Carolina State Wolfpack. Mike Patrick, Mike Gottfried back with you. Mike, you picked Florida State to be the national champion before the season started. Tonight we have seen offense, defense, special teams. They've got it all.
They got a complete team. They got so many weapons, and they're doing it so many different ways tonight. Pass rush. They've just been on Jose Laureano all night. The entire defensive line collapses the pocket and gets to the quarterback. Then on offense, get the ball to number 28, Warrick Dunn. His ability to make a cut on a dime, break into the secondary for this 51-yard run. Then special teams, Troy Saunders coming from the outside to take the ball off the kicker's foot for another score for Florida State. So they're a complete football team the first half.
Dominant performance by Bobby Bowden's crew from Tallahassee. First half stats, North Carolina State able to rush for only 14 yards, 88 total, compared to 279 for the Seminoles of Florida State. And individually, nice half for Busby, who showed not only a good arm but mobility in the pocket and only made one poor decision. That was the interception. Warrick Dunn averaging 8.6 yards a carry. There are the numbers on Laureano. Grissett, the leading receiver, he has 5 of the 8 catches himself. Seminoles will get the ball as we start the second half. Warrick goes 6 yards deep in the end zone, wants to bring it out, and doesn't. Let's go to Jerry Punch. Doctor?
At halftime, Bobby Bowden talked to his team. You know, how can you be disappointed in an offense that generates 24 points? But Bobby was concerned, and the concern was this. In the short yardage situations down on the goal line, his offense sputtered and couldn't punch it in. It may not affect this team tonight, but talking about down the road with the Miamis and North Carolinas coming on board, the offense has to click in the red zone. He was concerned about their inability to punch it in the first half.
Jerry, these coaches will look for anything, though, won't they?
And in the second half, Mike, he's going to make sure his football team concentrates and focuses the second half, because once you get a big lead, sometimes you go to sleep and get a little sloppy. He does not want to see that in the second half.
Warrick Dunn at tailback. He'll get the handoff. This time gets 3, maybe 4 yards before he's shoved back by that Wolfpack defense. Morocco Brown leading the charge. Mom named him after the country. He has 2 brothers named after cities, Marseille and Milan. Could have been a lot worse.
Second down and 6.
Just trying to think of something there. It could make it worse. But he's a good linebacker.
Led the team in tackles a year ago with 92. Second and 6. Busby, little play action, now has to step up, and this time he is sacked. Devon Smith, the right defensive end, the second sack of the night for NC State.
Well, Devon Smith moved over from tight end. He's only been a defensive lineman since fall camp, and North Carolina State was hit by the transfer of Darwin Walker. He left for Tennessee, and it kind of left us defensive front in a lurch a little bit, so Devon Smith had to be moved.
They have undersized defensive ends, too, especially Smith at 245. 3rd and 12. They'll go with a 4 wide receiver set for Busby. 3-man rush. They give it to Dunn instead. Dunn spins out a 1 tackle, but can't avoid a swarm of red jerseys. George Williams was in there, number 95.
And that's what Bobby Bowden didn't want to see. Your offense come out in the second half and maybe not be as focused as they need to be. Even though they've got this game in hand in the third quarter, you want your team to just keep applying the heat.
Sean Liss will kick to Addis. Liss would prefer to punt barefoot, but they got him a pair of kangaroo leather shoes, which are about the thinnest leather you can use on football shoes, so he's happy with that. He's been an excellent kicker, and of course, as soon as you praise somebody, it's a low line drive. At the 40, Addis goes down. Stringer on special teams makes the tackle, gain of 3 after a punt of 39.
As president,
Seminoles 24-0 with 12:59 to go, third period of play. Warrick Dunn with a big first half, 8.5 yards a carry, 8.6 actually. Mike Gottfried's pick for the Heisman Trophy, mine as well. I think he's the best player in college football.
I think he's an outstanding player.
Stevens to the 48. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch. Jerry?
At halftime, Wolfpack head coach Mike O'Kane talked to his offense primarily and said, you know, we have got to protect the quarterback. We're going to try to run the ball a little bit, but we know 24 points down that we have to throw the football. What Florida State's doing is walking their linebackers up and looping their defensive linemen. Look for Laureano to roll out some side, to get on the perimeter and buy some time. Also, they changed some routes for the wideouts.
All right, Jerry, thanks. They have the ball up at the 48 now, 2nd and 3. Brown, the fullback, barrels his way for a first down into Seminole territory at the 48. He was stopped by Shevin Smith, the strong safety, the walk-on who finally got a scholarship this year.
But Jerry was talking about him moving the quarterback around and roll out, and Rod Brown becomes a very big part of that kind of strategy because he's going to hook up and he's going to be forced to block Bernard Wilson and Peter Boulware, number 58, to be able to get Jose Laureano outside.
Laureano wants to throw on first down. Has time. Throws complete to Grissett. Breaks the tackle. Grissett to the 26-yard line. Stopped by Shevin Smith, but it's a gain of 21. They've done a good job with the play action after they've run the ball.
I was going to say they're better off when they get that little play action because they stop the rush a little bit to play action and able to get the ball to Jimmy Grissett. Just a little corner route by Jimmy Grissett, number 83. But because there wasn't a rush, Jose Laureano had time to get rid of the football.
Grissett, 6 catches, 60 yards. First down Seminole, or first down Florida State, or I'll get it right in a second. Wolfpack. Laureano dumps it to Holt. Holt breaks the tackle. He's down near the 12-yard line of the Seminoles. A gain of 14.
I think you got to credit Ted Kane and the offensive strategy here in the second half. Coming out, changing up formations, getting good blocking, trying to keep Bernard Wilson off of the quarterback. Mark Thomas blocking also. And I'll tell you what's also is there. Let's look to see if they try to throw to the backs coming out of the backfield in a little flare. Looks like that's there for North Carolina State a little bit also.
Laureano to Stevens. Nice cut. Stevens inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. That time they had Darrell Bush, the middle linebacker, up in a gap, and Stevens able to cut back past it.
Darrell Bush, the leader of the defense. But Mike, I was just saying about the pass, looks like is there is a little flare route to Tremaine Stevens, number 20, when they're in one back.
This time out of the eye on 2nd and 6 inside the Seminole 10. Stevens never had a chance as Crockett just fired through on a run blitz. If you weren't with us earlier, the Seminoles have said their goal is 6 shutouts on defense this year.
Henry Crockett's just going to fire inside. He was 250 pounds when in the summer, and Chuck Amato, the defensive coach, told him either get down to 235 or you're hitting the bench. And his brother Zach got on him a little bit too. Told him, said, you need to lose that weight.
3rd and 10, they can get a first down inside the 2. Pressure, Laureano got away, dumped it. And Addis with the diving try at the 3. That's a heck of a play by Laureano just to get out of the horse collar and be able to throw the ball.
He had pressure, and he almost made this completion. Peter Boulware knows he had him. He just came at him too high. Working upfield, no one blocked him that time. He just didn't make the play. Rod Brown may have missed a blocking assignment.
And Primati will come on to presumably try a field goal. 3 out of 3 this year, 14 out of 16 for his career. This would be from 29 yards out. Through. So North Carolina State gets on the board finally with 9:49 to go third quarter. It is now 24-3 Seminoles. Back to Carter Finley Stadium in a moment. 24-3 at a number 3 team in the country with 9:49 to go third quarter. NC State preparing to kick off. Laureano pulled a Houdini act and nearly got him a touchdown, avoiding the pass rush. They had to settle for the field goal.
Didn't get a rabbit, but he got the 3 points.
Right. Chris Hensler to kick it. Warrick and Stringer are deep. Stringer from the 3. Has the seam across the 30, fumbles the football out of bounds. Seminoles get a break as they'll retain possession. It's a pleasure to have the outstanding coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, Phil Fulmer, with us. Coach, thanks for being with us tonight, and I know you've got a great game coming up this weekend, but first let me ask you your impressions of Florida State tonight.
Well, Mike, they have so many weapons. It's just obvious that they're such a talented team and a well-coached team. The defense certainly is impressive. They have really gotten after the quarterback, and even though they haven't sacked him as many times as they'd probably like, it's obvious that they've disrupted them.
Busby will go to the shotgun. Play action. Well-designed play, and they get it out to Warrick Dunn. Dunn knocked out of bounds to 47.
Philip, it's Mike Godfrey. The most important question I can ask you, you got 4 tickets?
Tickets are like hen's teeth around here this day and age. You know, we've got 107,000 going to be in the stadium.
What do you expect?
And have a new defensive coordinator, much like UCLA did. So I'm sure they'll look at some of the things UCLA did to us and try to pressure the quarterback. Obviously, Peyton is a key to.
Jay Graham, Lee Corso talked earlier about the running game, but how has Peyton Manning been playing for you?
Peyton has played exceptionally well in both the running game and this football game.
3rd and 5 situation here for the Seminoles from the Wolfpack 48. Busby again with good protection, and wide open is Cooper. Cooper inside the 30 to the 29, first down for Florida State. Gain of 19.
Andre Cooper's just going to run a curl route. Good protection again for Thad Busby. Got him the chance to get him the football in the open field. Kenny Harris on the tackle.
First catch for Cooper, the senior from Jacksonville, Florida. Busby stays in the shotgun. All day to throwing for the end zone. Cooper, touchdown. Great protection, and Busby took advantage.
They have so much speed on the outside. They hurt you so many different ways. But Thad Busby is fast, showing people that he is a pretty good quarterback. Andre Cooper getting away from the coverage of Hassan Shamsuddin and wide open in the end zone.
Busby now 16 out of 23. That was his 2nd touchdown. 2 consecutive catches for Cooper and his 2nd score of the year. The point after from Bentley. Coach, you had mentioned your outstanding quarterback, Peyton Manning. Of course, there are 2 wonderful quarterbacks in that game. You have the pleasure, shall we call it, of facing Danny Werfel again, who had such a great game against you last year.
Well, we have the greatest of respect for Danny Werfel and the Florida offense. Obviously, they have been outstanding against everybody they played, and we helped them some last year with some turnovers and things that turned a game that we were up by 16 points twice into a game that we weren't very proud of at the end of the game. We haven't lost since that time, and we really look forward to this game, and I know Florida is too.
Coach, you've had some time to prepare for this one, a little more time than normal. Is that an advantage, do you think, playing at home?
I think it is an advantage for us this time. We would have had a little trouble playing, actually, last week with 3 or 4 guys that had some nicks coming out of the UCLA game. Plus, it gave us more time to prepare a plan for Florida's offense, what we might get on against Florida's defense. So it has been a big plus for us to have that extra time in the open day. And we're excited to get Georgia and Florida separated instead of playing them back-to-back.
Seminoles will kick it off, leading 31-3 over North Carolina State after the Wolfpack got on the board for the first time. Whitted and Holt are deep. They'll finally get a chance to return one. Whitted from just outside the 10. Holt got him a little bit of a block, and Whitted taken down as he got to the 27. Let's bring in, here's a penalty marker down on the play at the point of the tackle. We'll check this in just a second. Bring in Jerry Punch with you. And a personal foul call against the Seminoles. Doctor, you had a question for Coach.
Hey, Coach, and the irony of all ironies, we talked to Bobby Bowden last night, and Bobby said, no doubt I'm going to watch the football game, but I'm going to pull for the Gators. And the reason is we play Florida later in the year, and maybe we can control our own destiny. But if Tennessee beats Florida, we could get shut out of a national title game.
Well, that's all an interesting scenario. That's so far down the road that we're not going to worry about that right now. All we're worried about is what's going to happen in a couple of days, and all that will work itself out, one way or the other.
Coach, we thank you very much for taking the time to join us here on our Thursday night presentation. We wish you all the best against the Florida Gators. And I know you don't have those 4 tickets that Mike Gottfried asked you about, but we'll be watching.
Maybe we can get one from a scalper. It should be just a perfect setting for a college football game with an enlarged stadium and in beautiful East Tennessee, and we welcome anybody who wants to come.
I can't imagine 107,000 people. That'll be something to see. Coach, thank you. We'll see you down the road a couple of weeks in Memphis.
Thank you, guys.
Coach Philip Fulmer of Tennessee at NC State with the football. First down, Laureano back to work. Floats it deep over the middle into double coverage. Knocked away. Almost intercepted. He intended it for Whitted, the speed burner, but Colsey was right there. Samari Roll was back there.
Well, what Jerry Punch was talking about, that the 1 and 2 teams will play at the end of the year. And as you look at this top 10, of course, Nebraska, everybody figures they're going to get there. Tennessee, Florida winner, and of course they still got to go through the west of Alabama and Auburn or whoever comes out of that area. Florida State, you figure, has got a shot at being undefeated. There's an old ball club down here that thinks that they're going to go undefeated, and Miami is another one. Plus, you can have 3 or 4 teams be undefeated and 2 of them be out of the picture.
2nd and 10 for Laureano. They go to Stevens on the delay. Stevens down to the Seminole 44-yard line.
And Mike, the coach is talking, it's a long season and a lot of upsets may occur, but if we get 3 or 4 teams undefeated, then maybe that talk of a playoff will expand a little bit.
Very well could. And Mike, Philip Fulmer is talking about the right thing. You don't want to look that far ahead as a coach, at least publicly, but when you're sitting there by yourself and looking at those teams, you say, well, if this happens and that happens, we got a shot. And certainly they do.
And the other thing is, if you lose that game, if you're Tennessee or Florida, you're basically out, which I think's wrong.
Laureano trying to roll out of trouble and buried after about a half-a-yard gain. That's what Jerry Punch said they were going to try to do here in the second half, roll them out and get them away from the pressure, but not that time.
No, and the problem is when you roll out, you're rolling right into the face of one of those defensive ends. Here's Peter Boulware, number 58. He's coming right in. If you don't make that block, he's going to come off. Rod Brown missed Peter Boulware, and he's going to be right in the face of Jose Laureano. You just bring him a little closer to the rush.
Those defensive ends setting so wide now, it's very tough for the tackle to get out there. 4th and 6, they'll go for it. 5-man rush. Laureano throws for Grissett. It's knocked away. And the Seminoles will take over on downs. Dexter Jackson was back in coverage. So Mike O'Kane sees his offense fail to convert. It will be Seminoles football when we come back. They're up 31-3.
A little bit, I'd like to have a long drive here and show some consistency here in the second half.
Glenn and Preston are the running backs. Cooper and Hessam the wide receivers. Here comes the blitz. They pick it up again, and now Busby in trouble. Got away twice, but not the third time. Jeff Blanche, number 99, had him around the ankles. That's the 3rd sack.
And the North Carolina coaches, Mac Brown's watching this tonight because he's trying to look at this team. He's got a ball game with Georgia Tech, which has most of his interest. He knows he's going to face this Florida State team next week, and he's trying to figure out a way to get to Thad Busby.
Second and 19. Busby goes under center. Drops straight back. Can't find anybody. Scrambles. And throws to Cooper, complete up around the 47-yard line. Cooper brought down by Rodney Red out of Ridgeway, Virginia, after a gain of 13.
With that much time, you've just got to stay with receivers. Now, Andre Cooper, again, he's on a takeoff route. He sees his quarterback in trouble, came back to the football again. Smart move by the wide receiver, Andre Cooper.
3rd and 6. Busby a little trouble with it. Now he's chased and brought down. The sack to Morocco Brown, the middle linebacker.
You lose a little focus. They're sloppy here a little bit in the second half. And you talked about Eric Thomas, the snapper. It's the first time he's really snapped, and that ball snapped right to Thad Busby. That's Thad Busby's problem. Morocco Brown on the blitz. Again, coming free and making a tackle on Thad Busby and forcing the punt.
That's a good job by Morocco Brown because he took a shot from Marcus Long on his way in, shook it off. NC State showing a potential block. Sean List, the punter. High snap here. They come. They don't get there. But the punt out of bounds near the 35-yard line. ABC Sports College Football kicks off Saturday. We'll start it at noon Eastern. The number 9 Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against number 6 Texas. Then at 3:30, we'll bring you regional coverage with Boston College against number 8 Michigan, Georgia Tech against 11th ranked North Carolina, and Arizona against number 24 Washington. Check your local listings for your ABC station. 4:39 to go in the half. Rashawn Spikes has come back in the ballgame at tailback. We told you earlier, Tremaine Stevens with the tender ankle. And the fullback pounds his way up to the 45. Carlos King out of Boonville, North Carolina, a junior who plays both backfield spots.
That's been their best play, running the football, because they're able to get their fullback, Carlos King, on the defensive lineman right away. And you know Florida State's thinking pass rush all the way ahead, 28 points.
Second and very short. Spikes will have the first down. He shows you some niftiness as he gets out near midfield.
I'm sure Rob Smizik, his high school coach, is watching tonight, proud of Rashawn Spikes and what he's accomplishing for North Carolina State. And that gives them 2 good tailbacks, Tremaine Stevens and Rashawn Spikes.
He had nearly 7,000 all-purpose yards in high school in Connecticut. Some of us couldn't have gotten 7,000 yards if the other team left the field.
Now Jerry Punch did it. He's a former North Carolina State football player.
That's right. When Lou Holtz was here, Grissett gave it the big effort, couldn't haul it down as Saunders was right with him.
Well, Troy Saunders has really played a complete game tonight. In the secondary, remember, he's the player who blocked the punt. Good coverage here, bump and run. Now the route turns into a fade by Jimmy Grissett, so now the quarterback, it's a low percentage throw. Troy Saunders with good defensive coverage. Now trying to double up on Peter Boulware. Here's the block. Mark Thomas helping. Gets help from the back, trying to slow down that pass rush.
Holton Whitted checking his wide receivers on 2nd and 10. Laureano sidearms this one. Saunders nearly intercepted it, intended for Whitted.
Pass from Laureano to Whitted is incomplete. Hammond defending on the play.
Some big play defensive backs for Florida State. They have nearly had a couple of interceptions tonight.
Mike, we're going to show you what Tom Dombalis, number 63, is looking at this entire ball game. He's working against Renard Wilson. He has wore him out.
Stevens is back in on 3rd and 10. Here comes the rush. Laureano throws it right into the hands of Chevin Smith. Smith in a foot race. He is gone. There is a flag down on the play, however. We will check the penalty. The cousin of Derek Thomas goes for the touchdown.
Could be holding on where that flag is thrown on North Carolina State.
Boy, and they just swallowed up Laureano on that one.
I'll tell you, Renard Wilson made the play. Oh, he was responsible for this interception.
penalty decline.
Just talking about Tom Dombalis, number 63. You see he's trying to get started, but he just ran by Renard Wilson, just ran by him to get the tackle.
The easiest interception Shevin Smith is ever going to have, a 61-yard return. And Bentley is on to try to make it 38-3.
The education of a quarterback. Jose Laureano, sophomore, he's going to learn a lot from this ball game.
And Bentley is wide right.
I'm sure Bobby Bowden's thinking, get that wide right,
yes,
wide left out tonight.
Get it out of your system. Smith being congratulated on the sideline. You've got a feel for a guy like Laureano, who was really hung in there pretty well tonight against all this pressure. But when you've got that many guys in your face coming that hard, you really don't have a chance.
No, he got hit as he threw the football, and really Renard Wilson made that play. The interception was nice, but Renard Wilson's relentless rush from the left side. Renard Wilson, number 55, you can see him come off the corner and just overpower and use his movement to get in there, and then he met Peter Boulware on the other side. Just see that quarterback.
That nice move that he had with reaching out with a hand, grabbing a handful of jersey, and dragging down the bigger guy to get some leverage on him.
He bench presses over 500 pounds, so he has so much strength. And remember, he was a linebacker in high school, so he's an agile player. And you're that strong, I mean, he's going to be able to get to a lot of quarterbacks.
Pound for pound, he's the strongest guy on this team. Florida State tonight, 3 touchdowns offensively. The defense has one on that interception return, and the special teams got one on a block punt.
I hope Mac Brown and his coaching staff have eaten tonight, because they're going to lose their appetite after watching this.
Whitted from the 7. Tripped up as he crossed the 20 to about the 24. ESPN has the best in college football. Saturday working on first down. Here comes the pressure again. Got it outside. Incomplete off the fingertips of Grissett. And guess who was coming again? Renard Wilson.
Well, Renard hasn't been able to get to him to record those sacks to tie the sack record yet, but he has been relentless coming from that side. They can't block him. Try to put a back on him. He just overpowers Rod Brown, number 35, to get to Laureano again.
Laureano has missed his last 6, including the interception. He's 11 out of 30 for 119 yards. Wilson out of Lake City, Florida, got the nickname Big Country when he first arrived on campus. In the backfield, number 96, Connell Spain out of Melbourne, Florida, and he just fired through and made an ankle tackle.
What happens is you have to single up those players because you're trying to figure a way to double Renard Wilson and Peter Boulware and Andre Wadsworth and Connell Spain, number 96, not a bad football player himself, making that tackle.
3rd and 14.
That's the biggest difference I've seen in Florida State. Better on defense this year than I've seen him for a long time.
Pressure on Laureano, trying to roll away from it. Camp throws it away. Did not have an eligible receiver out there. He had number 55 backup lineman Thad Busby was the only one near. He nearly hit him with it.
I may be getting tired of saying Peter Boulware and Renard Wilson, but I can guarantee you Jose Laureano's tired of seeing both of them. These are 2 bookends that can play in the NFL. 2 solid college football players with great size, great quickness off the snap of the ball, and Jose Laureano has just been taken apart.
We talked about Miami last week. They're great defensive ends. How do you compare them?
I think Florida State's better.
Flag is down. And down at the 33 goes D. Feaster. He lost a yard on the return for a 46-yard punt. We'll check the penalty.
But Holmes and Lang are pretty good
yes,
at Miami. And they're the 2 that we saw against Rutgers. They just completely controlled that line of scrimmage also. But I believe that Boulware and Renard Wilson may be the 2 best on one team in the country.
They look like they have a little more speed. And certainly a Wilson just tremendously powerful. Motion against North Carolina State. And it's really gone badly for Mike O'Kane tonight. He was an assistant coach here when Dick Sheridan really got the program back into the national limelight, and he says his goal is not just to be competitive in the ACC. He wants to win the conference. He wants to win a national championship. That's what he's looking to build here.
Well, they had a bad year last year. They won 3 ball games, but the years before that when Mike O'Kane was here, they were in bowl games. So people sometimes have short memories of what you've accomplished, but
Sure.
he has done a nice job here at North Carolina State, and they've been second to Florida State several years in this conference race.
He was 7-5 and 9-3 in his first 2 seasons as the head coach, 3-8 a year ago. And right now, starting off 0-2 this season, they lost the opening game against Georgia Tech. And they're obviously on the short end of this one.
I would think in this situation, Mike, that they'll try a return here, even though they've been close on a couple punts. I'm not sure they'll come after this one. They may want to return this one, set up a good, solid return and try to bring it back.
Jay Dukes is ready tonight. They go to the block, chase him out. Dukes trying to throw. He's got it complete. Across the 40 to 45-yard line, there is a flag down on the play. Chris Coleman made the catch.
Maybe lineman downfield on this play. We'll see. Yep, it's exactly what it's going to be. I don't know if that was a called play. Looked like it in some areas, but with the lineman downfield, it's going to come back.
Jay Dukes with great presence of mind, though. Chased out of the pocket, knew he couldn't punt it.
But Jay Dukes knows what Jose Laureano's facing. He's going to get a lot of pressure on the punt. No, he was going to punt it. But you see the lineman downfield, but really an alert play by Jay Dukes. It's going to come back.
And if he doesn't pull it down, it's another block and probably another touchdown. So after the penalty, they'll move it back to the 10.
I'd look for a return here. There's a lot of punt blocks where you've got several people coming on the block. They've got a hold up here. They're going to get the return.
And Dukes catches this one off the side of his foot. It gets a nice bounce. Feaster fields it, but lost his footing and goes down at the 45. Let's go to Jerry Punch. Doctor?
You wonder why a coach would be concerned up by 34, 37-3. But Bobby Bowden's offensive coaches are very concerned, particularly the offensive line coach. They are concerned that they are not establishing the run. Yeah, they've scored in the second half, but by passing the football and an interception, they have not established the run. And that concerns Coach Bowden and the offensive line coaches.
There was a holding penalty on the punt. It will go against Florida State and back them up.
Post-scrimmage enforcement, holding, 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick, first down.
We'll see if Bobby Bowden does exactly what Jerry says and tries to establish the run again with Warrick Dunn.
10-yard penalty.
Talking about Dunn and his Heisman chances, a lot of guys that rack up the big numbers that many of the voters see in the newspaper and here on television. You see highlights of guys running 25, 30 times a game for 200 yards. Warrick Dunn doesn't get those opportunities. He's averaged 14, 15 yards a carry a game, and that's it. So you're not going to get the huge numbers. Dunn lines up behind Green. Will get the carry. Great cut to get outside. And picks up about 4 to the 49-yard line. Dwan Everett with another tackle.
Well, he was signed as a defensive back, and then all of a sudden one day they had some injuries, and they put him in at tailback. Bobby Bowden said, I knew his defensive back days were over, but he was a quarterback out of high school. His senior year threw for over 700 yards, but he told us, he said, I sat on the bench. He said, I was behind another guy my sophomore, junior year, and I looked out, I said, who's that? I said, who could have possibly been ahead of you?
Anytime you talk about backups, I remember Barry Sanders was a backup to Thurman Thomas at Oklahoma State. Nearly intercepted by Kenny Harris, hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it.
But Warrick Dunn, not only is a great story, which I know you're going to say here in a little bit, but the great young man that all the things that are written and talked about in college football, and every day somebody may get in trouble and we see it, but this is a story that's what good about college football, college athletics. He's an ambassador for Florida State University, his hometown, his family, but also college football.
But what is even more remarkable, Shamsuddin with the interception. Shamsuddin to the 40, down to the 35-yard line. The receiver fell down, and Hassan Shamsuddin gets his second interception of the season and a 20-yard return. Back to Warrick Dunn. What makes him even more remarkable coming back this year is that when he was getting ready to come to school at Florida State, his mother, who was a policewoman, was murdered. And he became the father and the sole support, along with his grandmother, of his family. And a lot of people would just grab for anything they could get. And here this young man trying to get his degree in the spring. He will obviously be a very, very high draft choice next year in the NFL. And our hats are off to him for doing the things that he thinks are right and not doing what is so convenient. It's refreshing.
Thad Busby just with a bad throw on that last interception. Shamsuddin with the interception, and now NC State trying to get some more points on here as the third quarter coming to a close. But a Florida State defense has been hard to attack.
Yeah, they just swarm on anything, particularly Laureano. There's the play that has worked most of the night. Brown with a quick hitter, the fullback straight up and got down to the 34-yard line. Brown, the senior out of Lithonia, Georgia. That's the end of the third quarter. Florida State in control. The number 3 ranked team in the country, leading at 37. And the Wolfpack facing a 3rd and 9 from the Florida State 34-yard line. Laureano looks over the defense. Under pressure, throws. Stevens couldn't hold it at the 5. Had his hands on it, couldn't hold it. Byron Capers was back there, but Laureano threw a perfect pass, and it could have been caught.
It was a nice route. What you're going to have is Stevens going up the sidelines. You got the inside receiver working a post, and then Stevens working out and then up. Ball was really thrown well by Jose Laureano.
Now, it wasn't called on that play,
no,
but there were some big-time holding on the offensive line as well. You can see Jersey stretched about 3 feet away from players' bodies as they were trying to get to Laureano again.
Well, they've been beaten so badly, they're grabbing for everything now.
4th and 9. Here comes the blitz. Laureano rolls away from it. He can run. He's got room. Laureano to the 20. Dives and has the first down. A run of 13 by Jose Laureano.
Gutty effort tonight by Jose Laureano. Been beaten into this turf tonight by this rush as his mom can't bear to look, and I don't blame her. But he has continued to fight all night, and you're seeing a quarterback develop here at North Carolina State tonight with this effort. Peter Boulware got knocked down. Jose Laureano picking up the first down.
Laureano the throw on first down, and Grissett was open, had a step on Saunders.
He knew when he threw this one, he threw it badly, but he saw again number 55, Renard Wilson. He's not going to like seeing a number 55 again for a long time. Just in his face all night and at a speed of about 55 miles an hour.
Well, when he shuts his eyes tonight, under one lid he's going to see a 55, under the other lid he's going to see 58.
If he can get his lids open.
2nd and 10. Stevens tries to go up the middle, and waiting for him, Darrell Bush, who got the first hit. The Butkus candidate middle linebacker. Crockett was also in there. He's had a pretty good game at linebacker.
But Tremaine Stevens hasn't had the kind of night he's had the past 2 years against Florida State. They have stopped the run completely tonight.
Stevens, 13 carries, 19 yards. The only play that's really worked has been the fullback, Rod Brown, on the quick hitter. 3rd and long. Here comes the blitz. There goes Laureano. He can run. Got room. Inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal. NC State. Bush from behind chased him down.
Well, Henry Crockett was on a blitz, and Jose Laureano, the outside contain, just breaks down for Florida State. The pass rush is going to come in, but Jose Laureano is going to be able to get outside of Bernard Wilson. As he works up, now he goes inside. Now all of a sudden there's no contain. Contain's been lost for Florida State. Laureano, Greg Adams with a good block. Laureano with good field position now for NC State.
Stevens is the deep man. Brown the up back. Laureano wants to throw. His receiver tripped and fell down. That was Omar Dixon. And no wonder he tripped. He was tripped by Capers. So says the official.
I'm not sure about this call either. Byron Capers, number 23, looked like he's got pretty good coverage. He's going to bump him. But I think he fell down. Omar Dixon. I thought that was very good coverage by Byron Capers. He's looking at that official saying, what'd you see?
Their feet didn't even get tangled up accidentally.
It's the defense in the end zone. The ball spotted at the 2-yard line. 1st down.
Capers just shaking his head, and no wonder. Now, the reason you may wonder why you haven't heard Omar Dixon before, he's a tremendous leaper. He's a high jumper on the track team, and they want to get him in the corner and let him out jump. Capers. Goal now from the 2. Laureano on the option. Stevens cuts it back. Touchdown. And Mom finally has something to smile about. That's the first option play that's given them anything, Mike.
They really blocked it very well. Rod Brown, number 35, really had 2 blocks on that play to get Tremaine Stevens in the end zone. Option plays tough when you get inside that 10-yard line.
From Monty to try the point after. And a crowd of 45,000. They've waited a long time to have something to celebrate. Most of them still here, and they've cut the lead to 37-10 with 13 minutes to go in the game.
You read The Count of Monte Cristo lately? I read words like revenge.
4 friends raised in a legacy of crime.
I don't want you getting into any trouble.
Come on, Father, you know I never do.
But when a childhood prank resulted in an accident.
The court hereby sentences you to no less than 1 year at the Wilkinson Home for Boys.
The punishment was far more than they deserved. Now, they've reunited in a pact to avenge the past.
You still sleep with the light on?
I don't think you know the meaning of rules. Rules! You understand?
Priest wouldn't mind.
No, but there's a first time for everything.
I am afraid that I'll make a mistake.
And you go down for the dirt nap.
So you figured if you had a priest, it would be perfect.
Not just any priest. It's payback time. It's our time.
Based on the controversial bestseller, Sleepers, rated R, starts Friday, October 18th at a theater near you.
See, Bob, was that your daughter on hard copy last night?
Hey, Bob, they ever find your gold card?
Hey, Bob, I hear your neighbor's suing you.
Bob, your computer crashed.
Hi, Bob. Heard about your root canal. Bummer.
Woo! Looks like you stepped in something, Chief.
Life gotten a little crazy? Try the simple sanity of an Accord sedan. From Honda.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by American Honda, celebrating their 25th anniversary of selling cars in America.
North Carolina State gets its first touchdown of the ball game, and it is now 37-10. As Brown threw an outstanding block on the running play for Stevens on the option to get the score. Here's the scoring drive, assisted particularly by the pass interference play.
Our linebacker came. We sit outside.
Warrick and Stringer are the deep men. yards deep, and he'll down it there. So the Seminoles will start from the 20. And the new quarterback, the freshman from Pennsylvania, Dan Kendra, whose dad, Dan Sr., played for Bobby Bowden when he was the head coach at West Virginia. He was a fine quarterback there, and Kendra, this kid is huge. He's 238 pounds.
Well, Bobby Bowden said he could be a starting linebacker for us, fullback, and even a tailback. But he said he's going to be an outstanding quarterback, and he's the quarterback they took there at Florida State instead of Jose Laureano.
And who did you say his favorite player was?
Lawrence Taylor. Gives you a little bit of idea of his mentality. Defensive mentality of this young guy.
Kendra in the shotgun. Dunn on the draw. Nice cut by Warrick Dunn, and for his size, he is very powerful at the 28-yard line. 14 carries, 108 yards for Dunn. He is just exceptionally efficient when he gets the football.
And he didn't play spring football this year, and against the week before the Duke game, he didn't practice, and they didn't hit him a lot during two-a-days, so he was a little rusty in that first game, but he shows tonight that he's back to form.
Dee Feaster has a chance to play some tailback now for Kendra. Feaster in the flat. Kendra misses him. Kendra, one of the most highly recruited quarterbacks coming out of high school.
A lot of people thought he was going to Penn State. Changed his mind and decided on Bobby Bowden. He's got that linebacker look to him.
He has a team record, not just a quarterback record, as he goes for the quarterback sneak in the first down. In the leg press, he moved 1,335 pounds. That's better than anybody, including all those humongous linemen, has ever done at Florida State. The kid's as strong as an ox.
He just moved 2 defensive linemen to get that first down.
And they said the vessels in his eyes popped when he did it. Can you imagine what we'd pop trying to move 1,335 pounds?
You're afraid to worry about it. Think about it.
Kendra trying to scramble out of trouble and is brought down at the 30. George Williams gets in on another stop.
That's a pretty good reaction by Dan Kendra with the bad snap. High snap, took his eye off the football, did his knee touch, close. Was able to get out. George Williams putting the pressure on and making the tackle.
Williams had a pretty good game for North Carolina State. 2nd and 12 for Kendra as he stays in the shotgun. 3-man rush. Plenty of time. Rifles it up to the 46-yard line, and that should be a catch for Wayne Messam. And now they're saying it hit the ground. Messam thought he came up with it.
The best offensive lineman that Florida State has is Walter Jones. He's a junior college transfer. He was the Mississippi Athlete of the Year as an offensive lineman. But the interesting thing, he's from Aliceville, Alabama, 10 miles from Tuscaloosa.
And they started getting away from there, you're in trouble. Here's Kendra on the scramble. Got to the sticks and should have a first down. Not afraid to run at all. Gain of 13.
Mike, the coaches feel like that Walter Jones, we're just talking about, is the best offensive talent they've had at Florida State. He's number 76 in the last 12 years. Just really good, solid pass protection against Devon Smith.
Tough assignment for Smith at 245. Lamar Glenn checks in as the new fullback.
And he's really a tight end. Yeah. By necessity has been moved to defensive line, giving it his best effort.
Comes the blitz. Kendra wants the screen. And Feaster dropped the ball. Had blockers in front. Perfect call against the blitz, and they can't execute it.
Well, they had a nice call. If he makes that catch, they're off and running. But Dan Kendra's been impressive. Bobby Bowden likes to play a second-team quarterback, get his education a little bit on the field. But he knows that Thad Busby is entrenched as the starting quarterback. But Dan Kendra will keep pushing him, and then in the spring, have a chance to try to beat him out. But in the fall, they know very clearly who's number one.
Whistles will stop the play. And a timeout for Florida State. 11:05 to go in the game. The Seminoles in control over the Wolfpack, 37-10. Darrell Bush, the Florida State linebacker. He's a junior receiver for Florida State. Is Peter Warrick, number 9. They think this is going to be a breakout year for him. There's so many great receivers, but they like him. Kendra dumps it to Feaster. Still on his feet across midfield down to the 49. That will be shy of a first down. You just watch Florida State in warm-ups, and they look like they have about 10 receivers that can play.
Of course, they've got so many athletes. Thad Busby for the evening. He's made a couple mistakes with those 2 interceptions, but again, he's learning on the job. This is his first full year start, taking over for Danny Cannell.
Kendra with some touch on this one, and it's complete to Messam. Caught it on the ground. Now they're saying it hit the ground.
Well, they're going to give the catch.
Oh, they are. You're right. 22.
Bobby Bowden would like to see Dan Kendra have some success in this drive. Throwing the football. Looks like he's having a little fun. Of course, when you're up 37-10, it's a little easier.
He had limited action against Duke, 1 out of 2, and fumbled on a scramble at his own 7-yard line that allowed Duke to score in that ball game. Kendra scrambles, gets down to the 20-yard line.
Kendra Keats picks up 8 yards to the 20.
Somebody tossed a Nerf ball out there.
The Big Walter's having a pretty good day over here at 290. And again, he's working against an undersized defensive back. He's going to face some better people along the way.
Kendra not afraid to put his head down and go for extra yardage. Wants to throw on 2nd and 1. Nearly intercepted and then nearly caught as Messam had his hand on it, but the first guy to touch it was Dwan Everett.
They had that play covered very well. Corner route to Wayne Messam, but Dwan Everett was underneath, had a safety help on the backside, and almost had that ball picked off.
3rd and 1, and the quarterback Kendra just moves the pile forward for a first down. Kendra's one of those guys that looks like he enjoys those quarterback keepers.
Well, he does. This is the receiver I'm talking about right here, Mike, as we set up this play. Peter Warrick, is the coaches just really talk about number 9, and they think he's just going to be one of the better receivers they've ever had in Florida State.
He's out there with Cooper right now. They go with 4 wide receivers. This one's for Dugans in the end zone and can't handle it. Another good defensive play by Rodney Red.
Not giving up an inch over there, trying to throw the ball over the top. Florida State's been so successful putting the ball up on top. Those jump balls. Dugans, number 80, going for the football. Red just trying to grab all he can grab to get that ball knocked away.
Kendra, here's the draw. Down to 10 goes D. Feaster. Eric Riddick made the tackle. 33 stopping 33. Third down, 3 yards to go for the Seminoles. They already lead 37-10. They're going for more. Lamar Glenn, number 31, checks in the backfield along with Feaster. They'll flank Kendra. Kendra, play action. Throws to the end zone. Touchdown, Messam. Oh, he had him between a rock and a hard place there. He could have run, easily gotten the first down, and just floated it to Wayne Messam for an 11-yard score. And that is the first touchdown pass in Dan Kendra's career.
An impressive fake by Dan Kendra. You see the routes. Peter Warrick was the intended receiver, went over his head, and Wayne Messam was sitting there for the touchdown.
You get a feeling there will be more of the same from Kendra. The point after good from Benton.
He looked impressive in that drive. He has some quickness, strength, touch.
Kendra at nearly 240 pounds. The freshman floats the touchdown pass. As they will take their season's record to 2-0. That drive, 80 yards, 15 plays, took 4 minutes and 49 seconds off the clock. And on the series, Kendra threw for 40 yards and ran for 25 more. Whitted from the 4. Straight up the middle, one man to beat. Whitted in the foot race. Touchdown. 96 yards for Alvis Whitted. Well, they could have used that one earlier.
It's a great return, and Florida State just did not make the play and didn't take good angles. Of course, he's a track player, track star for North Carolina State that can run.
He wants to run in the Olympics in the 100 and 200 meters in Sydney in the year 2000. He finished 6th in the trials for this Olympics. And you could tell once he got out there wasn't a soul. Unless Michael Johnson was in the stands, nobody was going to catch him.
Alvis Whitted, stop it right there. So back it up just a little bit if we could, please. Let me just start. This is Scott Bentley right here. Now, he's the safety. What he has to do is as the ball moves, he's got to shuffle over and try to make this play if it gets by. Now, Alvis Whitted is going to make this catch, but Scott Bentley took a bad angle. Good blocking downfield. Now, there, Scott Bentley's waited too long, and now he just is not a match speed-wise for Alvis Whitted, and he took a bad angle. Here's that speed.
And that's world-class speed on display. And he just trotted into the end zone. Looked like a couple of people had angles on him. They had no chance.
So excited because we scored, I had to go to the bathroom.
Well, when he's a senior, he won't have to do that. That kickoff return, by the way, the first against Florida State since the Rocket did it for Notre Dame in '91. The numbers on Kendra. Wants to throw in the rollout. He's under pressure. Throws back. This could be picked and should have been. Dropped by Kevin Russell right in his hand. And give credit to Warrick Dunn for hitting him and maybe breaking up the interception.
Well, he was a defensive back when he first came to Florida State. He made a defensive back play there. He turned into a defensive back on this reception.
Not a good throw by Kendra.
No, he waited too long. He was open, but open early. Warrick Dunn coming back. He's going to make the tackle on Kevin Russell.
And back across the field late is not a good idea whether you're a freshman or a senior.
I would think this may be a draw play right here.
And it is. They'll keep it on the ground. This week on ESPN. Holes. Once again finds the outside, gets out to the 45, maybe the 46-yard line. Perry and Ramser make the tackle.
Now this is the fourth tailback. They've shown you three tailbacks. Warrick Dunn, Rock Preston, Dee Feaster, and now they bring in Lavernius Coles. And there's not much difference. I mean, they all have great speed.
Of course, these guys do have the advantage of being in against a worn-down defense after the starters have loosened them up a little.
Probably ate a lot of oranges at halftime, so they're weighed down a little bit, too.
Yeah. Here comes the blitz on Kendra. It's good protection. Falls through a nice block for him. Kendra on the run, completes it. Warrick to the NC State 39-yard line. Gain of 16.
One thing they're going to see in this tape with Dan Kendra is he really doesn't set his feet much on these play-action passes. He's moving all the time in the pocket, trying to get into a throwing lane. You see him moving around. And once he gets on the run, he's pretty dangerous. Peter Warrick, the receiver I was talking about earlier, the one they think is going to have a breakout year for Florida State, made the catch.
Holes on the draw. This time he's swarmed under, will lose a couple of yards.
Well, you like that in your defense. They're not giving up. Morocco Brown, number 48, with a play.
Here's the Thrifty Car Rental storyline. Busby, 251 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns, but the 2 picks. Warrick Dunn, 108 yards rushing, 49 more catching the ball. And Florida State has used offense, defense, and special teams. All have scored tonight. A very impressive performance, and not nearly as close as the score of 44-17 would indicate. They have dominated the game. Kendra floats this one up there. It's complete down at the 24-yard line.
Jermaine Stringer, number 86, with the catch. And you're right, he was going to his left side and didn't get turned around and didn't really get a lot on this ball. Stringer with a nice catch.
He's a state champion out of Georgia in the 100 and 200 meters, so they just have blazing speed everywhere.
That coach gotta love this.
But yeah. Kendra with time, throws into the end zone, dropped by Cooper, had it in his hands. Andre Cooper, who had a chance to close in even further on the school record for touchdown catches, couldn't hold this one.
Working against Marcel Huff. Took a chance on the interception, but just came underneath it, but enough to get Andre Cooper maybe to look away from the ball.
Cooper had 15 touchdown grabs last year. Second and 10 for Kendra. Play action, under pressure. Again, scrambles and throws low, this time intended for Warrick and incomplete. Coming up on SportsCenter, Keith Olbermann, Dan Patrick standing by. They'll bring you up to date on everybody's pennant fever, how high it got tonight. I'm sure when it's over, you're going to be saying the same thing we did. What is this guy thinking? 3rd and 10. Kendra throws the out, and it looks like Florida State has just lost its concentration right now. Another easy catch for Cooper, and he let it drop at his ankles.
You know, it's interesting, too, when you have a backup quarterback, you need to throw the football. I mean, he needs to get work early in this season. As they're going to send the field goal team in here to try to tack on 3, or no, they're going to go for it, take a timeout. But you have to work your quarterback, because if something happens to Thad Busby, he's got to be got some strength into that pass.
Messam, 6 catches, 71 yards, and it is a first down. You're right, Mike. He had some juice on that one. Stringer is the tailback, and he'll get the toss behind Glenn. The Wolfpack defense still coming up trying to make hard hits.
Playing hard. Marcel Huff with a tackle.
2nd and 10 for Kendra. Play action. Over the middle into the end zone. Touchdown to Peter Warrick. 13-yard strike for Kendra, who has thrown his 2nd touchdown pass here in the 4th quarter.
Peter Warrick with a good route. Dan Kendra with the excellent delivery. You'll see Peter Warrick set up the defensive backs. Working over the middle. Wide open in front of Damon Weishi.
Got him the ball in a hurry. That makes it 50-17. And now 51. And there are people who are going to ask the obvious question, why with this big a lead are you down here throwing the football?
Well, I think you have to throw here. I think Dan Kendra, you're worried more about down the line in the development of your backup quarterback in case you get him hurt. NC State really has played well. They give a game effort on defense. They're undersized. The defensive linemen played hard all night against a big offensive line. The other thing you got to think about now, Mike, is the way the setup is in college football right now. If you're sitting out there like right now, Nebraska's 1, Tennessee's 2. if Florida State doesn't get in those top two in one of those two polls, then they're going to be eliminated from the playoffs. So they've got to be thinking about that also. I don't say you run up scores for that, but people are going to watch your scores every weekend.
I think your point is well taken about Kendra. You've got to get him ready.
And now North Carolina now next week. Now that's going to be an interesting ballgame because I think North Carolina is a very, very solid football team. Miami, Florida State has to go into Miami, and the first-year quarterbacks have a tough time. And, of course, Steve Spurrier is waiting there at the end. So they've got some tough games left, but they could roll on and be 11-0. Bobby Bowden says, give me 11-0 right now, and I'll sit in third, which I'm not so sure I buy that right now. But
I think he likes the idea now, but once you get to the 11th, 12th week, he's not going to be real happy about being third.
And it's interesting because if Tennessee beats Florida, I mean, they're going to really jump up in the votes even to attack Nebraska a little bit.
And would have a real chance to run the table.
And if Florida beats Tennessee, I mean, they're going to vault probably Florida State and go to number 2.
Here's that man, Aldous Whitted, who brought the last one back for 96 yards. He's taken out near midfield, and then a late hit.
College football on ESPN Center on. Watch the reruns, and they ran that last play over and over and over again. And every time he saw it, he didn't score. He wanted this one bad tonight, and certainly I think tonight helped him a lot mentally to get over what happened last November.
Jerry Shirley did his part, didn't he? Here's Barnett trying to scramble. Boulware was there again. He has just been devastating from that defensive end spot.
And when you talk about Warrick Dunn, the thing that keeps coming up, Bobby Bowden's comments, everybody that talks about him, patient individual.
You can see it in his running style. I mean, he's not somebody that just bang goes into the hole whether there's anything there or not. He waits for the blockers to set it up for him. And you can see by his rushing average, career almost 7.5 yards a carry. The guy gets what he can get out of every play.
Charlie Ward's a guy who's kind of brought him into the fold there at Florida State as his roommate, told him to stay in school and enjoy his senior year.
Back at the 47-yard line. And that's a pass that the redshirt freshman will learn. He's got to get rid of that ball. You can't take the sack on 4th down no matter what.
You got to hang it up. At least give your receivers a chance to make a play.
There is a penalty marker down back at the line of scrimmage. Sports Center, of course, following our broadcast.
And while we're talking about recapping this ballgame, I thought Jose Laureano played a very good ballgame.
I did too.
Under the circumstances, Mike, with the pass rush that was on him tonight. And I think you're going to see him really develop into a pretty good quarterback. Tremaine Stevens didn't have the kind of night, but that's because of Florida State's defense. Sometimes you're outmanned, and your game plan, I thought Ted Kane had a very good game plan in this ballgame offensively. Jeff Snipes defensively, but sometimes your X's aren't as big as their O's and not as fast as their O's, and that was the case tonight.
Laureano heard and said a lot of O's tonight.
Hands off the cone, picks up 5 yards, second down.
1:39 to go, and of course, Jerry referred to the Florida State loss against Virginia a year ago, and Bobby Bowden, of course, didn't want to lose that game, but he said actually it was the best thing that could have happened to the ACC. People started to look at the wins he had over other conference teams and would say, so what? And then they found out that Virginia and North Carolina were pretty good football teams. They could go out and play with other conferences and play very, very well. So it was really good for the conference, and he expects that the level of play in the ACC is going to come up to Florida State rather than them coming back down to meet everyone else.
And when you talk to all their coaches, they're wary of this ball game they've got next game.
Well, you did the Carolina game up at Syracuse. They really showed well that night. Tried to make a cut, lost his footing, goes down at the 36.
Davis makes the stop on the 35.
Bobby Bowden goes to 2-0. His Heisman candidate over 100 yards again. All in all, an outstanding performance for the Seminoles. Warrick Dunn now number 2 all-time on Florida State's rushing charts.
Final score is 17, Florida State 51.
That's it from Raleigh. And once again, our final score, Florida State 51, North Carolina State 17. For Mike Gottfried and Jerry Punch, this is Mike Patrick. You're watching ESPN, the worldwide leader in sport.
Coach Bobby Bowden says he thinks it'll be till after the October 12th game with Miami before any fair assessment can be reached. That made tonight's game at North Carolina State pointless. Late in the first quarter, State up 3-0. Seminole ball on their own 20-yard line. Warrick Dunn, they almost tackled him for a loss. Instead, it's a 51-yard gain. 108 yards rushing for the game. 51 of them there. They're not going to get him. Oh, yeah, they did finally. The next play, your quarterback is Thad Busby, who buzzes left, looking for a receiver, then buzzes right. And he sees E.G. Marshall and E.G. Green in the end zone and throws it to E.G. Green. 10-0 Seminoles, great catch. North Carolina State is down 17-0 in the second, and they're punting. This does not look good. This is a warning sign for a bad play. Byron capers. It's a touchdown. 24-0. In the fourth quarter, the much-heralded freshman from Western Pennsylvania, Dan Kendra, comes in for FSU. And here is history in the making. A touchdown to Wayne Messam, which is kind of ironic because at that point, Kendra, they were saying during the broadcast, had to run off to use the little quarterback's room after he completed his pass to Messam. 51-17, the final. Busby 17-26. I couldn't make that one up, could I? 17-26 for 251, and Warrick Dunn, as we said, with 108 yards. Afterwards, Jerry Punch spoke with Bobby Bowden, who barely broke a sweat.
Thanks, Keith. Bobby Bowden, your Seminoles played awfully well here tonight in Raleigh.
Well, we played okay. We're still shoddy. I'm still not sure what we're doing offensively.
You know, people were concerned a little bit about the offense, the opener against Duke. You showed a lot more pizzazz offensively. Thad Busby running the no-huddle and the hurry-up, but you're still concerned about the front.
Yeah, and plus I'm concerned about the interceptions and the fumbles and the things like that. But we simply have got to find out what we need to be doing. I think we're getting close, but, you know, I can complain about a win.
You can't complain. How about Warrick Dunn? I mean, what can you say about this young man? What an incredible competitor.
Well, he is. He really is. You know, he's just a great runner with a great second effort about him, and he makes an excellent receiver when you throw into him, and got a heart about that big, you know.
You also got a chance to look at Dan Kendra, the redshirt freshman. He was pretty impressive.
Well, I wanted to do that because it's hard to get that second teamer a lot of work. I know we were throwing down at the end there. It looks, you probably get a little criticism over that. But again, the quarterback has got to have the work, and we're going to get it.
Well, Coach, congratulations on a win tonight. And it's going to be a long year. You need to get some under your belt early and get ready for some of the big ones.
We got a long way to go, buddy.
All right, Bobby Bowden Seminoles win by 34 at Carter Finley Stadium, the second active winningest coach in college football. Keith?
Jerry, thank you very much. How big was the heart? We didn't see the measurement there. Was it that big or that big? Average Seminole margin of victory against the Pack over the last 4 games is now 46. FSU won 62-3 in Tallahassee in 93, 34-3 in Raleigh in 94, and 77-17 in Tallahassee last year. Next week they play Cardinal Stritch Madison campus. Dan?
Still to come on the show.
Great tailback of NC State who had got over 100 yards against us every year. He finally broke that jinx.